Brucite. Brucite was left in his cell, covered in who knew what. He had been beaten and bloodied. Yarrow had healed most of the injuries he had inflicted to prevent Brucite from bleeding to death, but the healing mage had left a few ribs cracked to torment Brucite in the time he would otherwise spend sleeping. The interrogations seemed to go on endlessly. Brucite didn't know the answers to anything Yarrow had asked. He didn't know why this was happening to him. He had just been a loyal soldier until the end. Brucite longed to return to his friends, but more than anything, he missed Anatase. Thinking of her free spirit could bring him a semblance of untainted joy amid his agonizing incarceration. He thought of the night they'd spent in her mother's manor, playing with her younger siblings and sharing their first kiss. Never in his life had he wished to return to the Carey lands so desperately. But to revisit the village nestled amongst pine trees that was filled with Anatase's family, it would be everything. It would have become home. He thought of the night Anatase had accepted the engagement vala, and the debauchery that had ensued. He tormented himself with imagining what their children might have looked and acted like. He lost hope that such a future could ever await him. The dark prison with Lynx's wretched-smelling, decomposing corpse was his reality until Yarrow pried him from the cell for questioning again. At one point, a guard removed Lynx's body from the rope and tossed it back inside Brucite's cell. Toad rats stripped Lynx's body of muscle and organs, leaving nothing but a skeleton of the man behind. In the low light of the barren cell, Brucite had little else to do but stare at his bones. Brucite ceased the ritualistic exercises he had performed every morning since he was a child. He also stopped praying. No one was coming to help him. He knew that. Brucite resented how low he had come. Never would he have groveled for rescue from the woman he had once sworn to protect. But now, he would. Yet he didn't want her to see him in such a piteous state either. A trickle of warm blood caressed his temple as it rolled down his face. It felt similar to Anatase's fingers' gentle graze. His thoughts took him to the night he and Anatase had sat in the Iguajuish forest tree branches, with her heat pressing against him. Imagining weight against his broken bones caused him to retch. Pain spiked in his chest as his muscles contracted and his ribs crunched. He slumped onto his side and fought off the urge to grasp at his middle. Any time he tried to soothe himself before, it had just caused him further agony. He heaved against the smooth stone and tried to suppress another spout of vomit. His blood pooled around his face. His gasping disturbed the surface of the puddle, and it reminded him of Anatase's breath. Brucite whimpered the beginning verses of the song he had sung to her that night in the trees. When he caught up to the line where he had left off, he sang the rest aloud. The ice is falling from the trees, from a modest midnight freeze. What is falling from the trees? The children falling from the trees, landing straight on scabby knees. What is falling from the trees? Time is falling from the trees. This moment is time to seize. What is falling from the trees? This song is falling from the trees, lending down sweet melodies. What is falling from the trees? He could have stopped there, but as he concluded it, a taunting echo prompted him to continue with the unpleasant latter verses, which he usually omitted. The leaves have fallen from the trees, crushed to form a toxic tea. What has fallen from the trees? The rain has fallen from the trees, sprayed just like a violent sneeze. What has fallen from the trees? Brucite heard the sound of footsteps from far off. As the steps grew louder, Brucite's wavering song grew softer. The wind has fallen from the trees. It blew through a rueful wheeze. What has fallen from the trees? The fruit has fallen from the trees, eaten by a swarm of fleas. What has fallen from the trees? The swishing of a mage's robe rounded another bend, heading closer. Brucite's hands started trembling. He quieted his voice, such that the advancing visitor might not hear his rising dread embedded within the lyrics. The flowers fallen from the trees, they were dying of disease. What has fallen from the trees? The birds have fallen from the trees, driven out by angry bees. What has fallen from the trees? Brucite's heart pounded. It must have been going at least twice as fast as the meandering lullaby's rhythm. Still, he sang on. The ice has fallen from the trees, perilous for days like these. What has fallen from the trees? The children fallen from the trees, rope struggled and tautly seized. What has fallen from the trees? By the time the light of a swinging lantern crested around the bend of his cell row, Brucite couldn't be sure he made more noise than a whisper. Time has fallen from the trees. It was quite a sight to see. What has fallen from the trees? Terror strained Brucite's throat, and gasping every few syllables, he tried to force breath behind the remaining lyrics to finish the true final verse. This song has fallen from the trees, flended down dark melodies that have fallen from the trees. As he concluded the song, tears slid silently down his blood-crusted and scarred face, and the door to his cell opened for the last time.